Captain Battelle is cleared for active duty as the new director of the Starfleet Judge Advocate General's office. Vulcans can feel the coming of an earthquake, and James T. Kirk tells Spock to call him Jim. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we're doing a review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 3, Episode 10, New Life and New Civilizations, written by Dana Horgan and Davy Perez, directed by Maya Vervillo. Special thanks to Dave Gregory and Chris Garris for sponsoring this entire season. And also, we have a very special announcement to all of you. We have two special guests joining us right now, the writers of this episode, Dana Horgan and Davy Perez. How you guys doing today?
Doing all right. Thank you so much for having us on. Yeah.
This is going to be great.
Always love being on. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's just jump into this, everybody. First things first. Can I just say you guys threw me for a loop? I thought for sure you were going to introduce a new legacy character like Kirk. You know, at the end of season 1, you introduced Kirk. At the end of season 2, you introduced Scotty. I was like, oh, is it going to be Sulu? Is it going to be whatever? But you guys had so much on your plate for this episode. How did you cram it all in to one?
Did we cram it all into one?
Seems like you did.
Maybe we need an extended edition. We had a lot of story to get through. We had a lot of characters to service. I'm deeply sorry for not introducing a new legacy character. We love to leave you guys hanging. The wanting more. But yeah, we knew we wanted to wrap up Pike and Battelle's story, and that was sort of our guiding light there, right, Davey?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was going to be the story that we wanted to land, and for as much as we had going on, and any one of those strains could have been the whole episode, really, but we knew like the main focus had to be how's Pike going to deal with this, having to let go of Battelle, and the story with Battelle needs to kind of resonate. And then, just to touch on the legacy character, of course, I'd love to put all the G.I. Joes in the main base if I could, but you also don't want to, to the point you made, have people just expecting that that's the trick you're going to pull, right? And so It's like, oh, they're going to do it. Who are we going to see? And then it's like, no, they just told us a different story, and that's great because now it's we're not beholden to any kind of rules as to what kind of story or what the story needs to do.
Yeah, we always feel it. I mean, servicing our characters and our story is always our number one goal before teasing the candy of introducing somebody new who is going to become one of our characters, the way like Scotty has become, and our version of Kirk have become our characters. But it is always our goal first to service our characters and their stories.
Well, let me just say, this is my favorite episode of this season. It was really well written and just like it was packed with so much stuff. I really felt like it was an adventure. The set design and special effects were amazing. I really felt like I was traveling to another world, another planet. It gave me like, the diamond-shaped buildings and the aerial shots. All of that stuff looked fantastic. And then story-wise, you guys hit on some of the storylines that I've been waiting to see play out, right? We've seen so much of this. Essentially, I say this season is the Gorn season, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but it felt like this is the Gorn season, and
ish, yeah.
Gornish, with the Gorn,
Gornish.
The Gorn in some way or another was related to a lot of the storylines that I felt like played out this year, and the most of which I wanted to get closure with, Captain Battelle. I needed closure with that. And we got some of that, right? In this episode, we got a lot of that in this episode. But I felt like you took us on a journey, and you kind of touched on my first question, which is, you mentioned, did I squeeze all of it in? I felt like this was like a two-parter. And I'm almost like, I wanted more of this, the nurse that we didn't think existed, who just popped up out of nowhere. That was a surprise.
Gamble.
Talk about,
Yeah.
Gamble out of nowhere.
We would have loved to have done.
Huge shot.
Yeah. No, we would have loved to have done more with Gamble all season.
Right.
Chris Myers is amazing. Awesome. He's so great.
Yeah.
This felt like a two-parter. I mean, did you feel like you had to like squeeze in stuff? Because it really, I love having
just
the whole
peek
crew
behind
together.
The curtain a little bit to talk about like the process. Like, I will say that the finished draft was probably a very healthy draft. That on the page, because we were using every single margin and space, was like 60 pages, let's say. But that 60 pages was probably an hour and 20 of stuff. And so there's some things that didn't make it, and ultimately that's kind of what happens in TV. And you put out there what you think you need to tell the story you're trying to tell. And I think you try
to, like we said, we try to service the stories and all the stories, but we are still like held to the parameters of schedule and budget and all of the, like, we would love to have a two-parter. We would love 11 episodes. It would be fantastic. I'm surprised that Davey didn't mention that I wanted to do an entire episode flashback. Or not flashback, sorry, the imaginary life.
Flash forward.
Right?
Flash forward.
Act 3
I
was like, she wants the whole episode to be Act 3.
At one point,
and I didn't know what that was, by the way. When I was watching in the beginning, I was like, did I skip episodes by accident? Like, am I watching the same episode?
It was so good.
And then I was like, how are they talking about something that hasn't happened as if it already happened? So it took me a second. I'm sorry, guys. It took me a second to process.
I think that's okay.
Because normally wanted to disorient you. Yeah, okay. We wanted to disorient you. Like, Pike's a little disorient. Like, it's. I think it's okay to be. I think we.
It was like a time loophole thing. It was like you guys explained.
We wanted you to ask questions. We wanted you to say, "Wait, what am I watching?" Like, I think we wanted that.
And there's a knock, but they didn't say anything about the knock. Like, we wanted that emotion. You know what I mean?
Well, I love the knock.
I was looking at my door in the beginning. I was like, "Am I hearing something?"
Well, I love the knock because it was this beautiful symbolic thing, and whoever came up with that idea, big kudos there, because you want in something that's kind of poetic, like those 10 or 11 minutes were. It's kind of like this beautiful microcosm, and it was poetic. It was artistic. It was this beautiful thing, and the knock was kind of grounding, but it was also kind of like that looming cloud over you of at some point this is going to end. There's reality coming, knocking on your door, and it kind of was the through line through this whole thing, and that was fantastic. Great work there. That was I think when we found the knock, and I don't remember whose idea it was. I can't even give proper credit because we talked about this so much.
Yeah.
When we found the knock, it was like, oh, okay, yes, now it all sort of clicks in. And because it is this, you want to give this beautiful happy ending. You want to feel all the feels, but like just as in life, like death is looming, reality is looming. You can live in a fairy tale, but like things are pulling you out, and that's sort of we wanted to evoke that feeling, I think.
And especially with like surrealism, sound design is such a big part of that, right? And so having the knock, it actually kind of grounded the sequence in a great way. And because we were messing with how to transition, and we like on the page wanted to have wipes that kind of like, where are we now? And this is just the same room, but a different time. But I think there was still some element of confusion until we found the knock is sort of the guiding, it became the frame of that journey,
And let me add to that just a little bit, because it took a little bit of it kind of went off of the course with that act, which I like, because what we were expecting was the battle scene, the long fight scene, right? Like, just as an audience, it's like, oh, here comes the time when they're going to fight for 10 minutes, and and then who gets the phaser and all this stuff, and you're expecting that. But we got less of that and more of this moment that kind of played out like The Visitor, and it's kind of like a miniature Visitor episode of DS9. It was kind of like a whole lifetime playing out in this moment. Really loved it. And I also want to say watching it, I kept getting like other stuff that I've seen in my lifetime. I would say, gosh, this reminds me of that. I'll give you an example. When they showed the planet surface, I was thinking, gosh, this brings me back to Stargate. I don't know if you remember the old school movie Stargate back in the day, the original Stargate.
Yeah.
When the whole flash forward scene where he's talking with Captain Patel, that kind of reminded me of 2001: Space Odyssey. At the end, when he meets himself and he's kind of having this moment, I thought, oh, that's a nice moment. And then I got some other stuff. I got ancient Egyptian stuff in there. I got a little bit of this. I got some kind of, you had like a religious symbolism of people that use self-harm. There's some of those people that do that kind of stuff where they self-mutilate, and so you kind of borrowed a little bit of that. And I just loved all of those things because it's like a big old gumbo of things that we can recognize. You know what I mean? So you must have had fun putting that together.
Yeah. I mean, Davey, you had a very clear vision of what you wanted the society, this planet to look like. And you ran with that. That's, I give you
well,
that
thank
was
you
your
for
baby.
That. I mean, it's collaborative as always, but you basically hit on like every kind of influence I was,
It's like hearing Davey pitch in the room.
I mean, we loved it. I grew up on this stuff, and it's just these are just timeless moments, and you really pick them up.
And then to bring up again, the how you were expecting the battle, and then it went to this sequence. I mean, we had this conversation of it being like a spiritual battle, really. Like it's still, even though it's like a different version of a fight. This is kind of what they're fighting for, and how they're fighting is by how much they love each other and living this life. And I mentioned it also because Maya did an excellent job directing it. And that has to be said.
Yes.
That you need a director to bring that to life. Because you could put on all day on the page that this is going to be impactful and powerful, and then go, and I trust that Melanie and Anson were going to bring it because I know that they can. But it really is a group effort to make these things land. So I'm very happy to hear that.
And just like to pile on the compliments, like a shout out to all of our crew and like our production design and like everybody that designs those planets. And I mean, in all of the episodes, they're truly it's pure magic. And I think they really outdid themselves with the designs for Sky Gowan.
Let me add
early.
I gotta throw the makeup guys who did the makeup for all of the people on the planet, like amazing. It looked fantastic.
No, we are an embarrassment of riches when it comes to talent on this crew.
The makeup was fantastic. The wardrobe from the opening scene, from when they were all at the dinner party, the wardrobe there to the different wardrobe changes that you saw throughout wardrobe was A+. And then the music scoring is also needs to get their credit because I thought the music was lovely.
Nami.
Nami, and Bernadette. They're all, all of them are, everybody that works on the show is truly the top of their game. And we are insanely lucky because like Davey said, like you write it on the page and then you like hope it translates under the guidance of the director to everything else. And this show is just, everybody that works on it is amazing, and particularly we are very blessed.
The ambition of the finale and the world building, like we had a lot of meetings in advance, knowing we were going to come to this strange new world, and so I think there's a texture and a layer to it that because of all of the departments coming together and all of those meetings that Dana remembers, and the many different designs for just even the simple, like what is the symbol that is going to be on the flag, right? And I just love being a part of that and being able to talk.
Well, how long did you know that you were going to come to this ending? Was it early on in the season? Was it midway through that you guys started working on this?
We had we always sort of start. We sort of start the season talking about the arcs for the characters, and talking about Pike specifically, what he was going to go through the season and experience. We knew that it was going to be his and Batel's relationship, and this was the story we were going to tell, and it's a balance on our show, because we do love telling character stories that are ongoing, but we are an Adventure of the Week show. So it is where, how do you weave that in, and how do you get there? But I think from the very beginning, we kind of knew that she was gonna become this thing, and they were gonna have this moment. And I think when we first started talking about it, that future life was actually just like a monologue. It was, we weren't even going to see it.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and then I was like, and then we built it out into an act, and then I was like, but a whole episode. And JB said,
it went from a monologue to a whole episode.
Which is crazy, because Pike gets to live out this life where he doesn't have the same outcome that he normally had. So that was like, that was
the gift right there. Yeah.
That was the gift.
That was the gift.
And I know I'm going to beat Ryan to this, so I'm going to just get it over with. But creating the moments of Spock and Kirk doing the mind meld and kind of building this connection, which essentially is all predates what we've seen in the original series. So we're getting to see the foundation of their relationship. How does that play out for you in your mind? How sensitive are you to what has already taken place, in to make sure that you're building stuff that the fans can say, I approve of?
Well, I mean, you want to go first on that one?
And I love the moment, by the way. The mind meld, all of that stuff. I thought this is perfect.
What I'll say is that, like, sometimes those decisions are kind of bigger than us. Do you know what I mean? And so, like, our showrunners and the studios have a plan, and part of that plan is to make these characters go on this journey so that we can meet up with them at a certain point when we find them. And so we are always tracking, like, how can we include that, or how much should we include that, and for me, sometimes I get and I think Dana might be similar. We focus on the episode of the week, and we focus on the character's journey of the week. And then we get a tap on the shoulder, and they're like, and what are we saying about the universe or the legacy of the universe? And we're like, oh yes, right. Okay. We should do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. No, we always want to honor the canon and honor where we're going and who these characters were when they started. But we are always first and foremost aware. I mean, this is my pat answer. Davy's heard this like a million times. I'm sorry. Like, we're always fully aware of who they are in our show in terms of characters and like what we need to service on like their relationship story, and like how do we make that feel earned and not just like fun fan candy. Like, that's sort of where when we're given these challenges to play.
I mean, you've done it with Chapel and Corby in this episode as well, right? So that everybody already knew where that was going to kind of that was going to come up, and how so we got to see how that played out and where it kind of leads to, at least in this episode. So I mean, just you're giving us so much. That's why I felt like this is a double episode, but the whole Invanga storyline. I don't know how many storylines you tied in one episode, but it's like
all of them.
The ultimate week. Yeah. It's the ultimate week.
Each one of them, I think Davey already said this. Yeah. Each one of them could have been an episode. Each story could have and should deserved its own story and its own episode for sure.
There's a lot, in what you say, in that like Star Trek used to be 26 episodes, and so there was more opportunity to tell those individual storylines. For like any one of those could have been the story of the week, but we had to fit it all in an hour. And also, this is the finale, and so any questions you started to play with and asked when you're sort of thinking about the finale, you're like, do you want to leave that for next year, or do you just want to close it off because it's not big enough to leave for next year? And also like. If you forget about a character, you're going to hear about it online because that's someone's favorite character. And so there's a lot of things that you're thinking about when you're like, how do we craft this finale so that the adventure and the character story we're telling is satisfying, but also, again, like all the pieces are we're watching the whole board. You know what I mean?
And that's obviously the right way to do it. You guys are giving us great stories, and you're writing stuff that's first and foremost true to the character. It's true to the characters. It's building those characters. It's within the Star Trek universe. That'll all fit in just fine. But the most important thing is it's got to be a good story. It's got to be true to the characters. And you guys are doing that. And one thing that you did give me, though, as like a little piece of candy for me as a fan, it's something I kind of was waiting for in this episode, and I got it. There's a very special relationship between captain and first officer in every series. And this one had a moment, what was it, 15 seconds? But in that first second, I was already happy and satisfied. Just the fact that you showed Una sitting down next to Pike. You could have even just done that, and I would have already been like, that's what I needed. But the fact is, you also gave us a little bit more with her saying you want to talk about it. And he says, not yet. But that's what we need. We need that little bit because that's such an important and special relationship. Can you talk about that a little bit, the two of them?
I mean, sure. I mean, we actually talked about that moment a lot. That was a very important moment for us to include. I think we fought to make sure. I mean, no one ever wants to like cut things or lose things, and there was not like a battle to lose that. But like in an overstuffed episode, to honor, as you said, like to honor that very special relationship between Captain and First Officer, and the very special relationship that these two individual characters have with each other. We wanted to make sure there was time to breathe and room to breathe and be able to honor what Pike was going through emotionally, and show like they're there for each other in very important ways, and we really wanted to make sure that had space.
All right, before you leave, I got a few things to add, like really quickly. I heard the words deep space from Pelia, and then I heard orbs from Corby.
And time-traveling doctor.
Yeah, so we have deep space and orbs. I was like, are we getting some shout-out love over here? I was just missing a 9.
You're hearing
but
it.
I love that.
Well, I mean, we actually in the room talk a lot about the great episodes that only DS9 could have pulled off, because there was so much character development done, and that there was at times the serialized element that came in, and that every kind of series had its own style and thing that it did really well. And for me, DS9 asked really big questions, that lingered, not that the others don't, because they all ask big questions, but DS9 really asked internal kind of questions. And so I think we're always shouting out in some way to those.
Yeah, I felt it. I really felt it. It spoke to me like it was speaking Swahili. And then my last thing is, there was a moment, because I like studying biblical theology and history and whatnot. And one of the books that I have stumbled upon is the Book of Enoch. And it talks about the Enoch essentially taking the fallen angels and putting them in one place. And I felt like there was some of that here with the Beholder. And,
well, yes.
Go, Davey, go.
I'm busted. No, the Book of Enoch.
Do it, Davey.
It talks about the Watchers, and it talks about it is an ancient alien sort of cornerstone for the ancient alien astronaut theory. So I'm very familiar with Enoch. I rip it all the time. And to the point that you brought up, even it was hard because we wanted to do those Stargates without them feeling like too much like Stargates, but ultimately, it's hard not to be made. That comparison's going to happen, but that's okay, because we're telling a different story, and we made it Star Trek, and we talked about ley lines, which is also pseudoscience.
Yes.
I love.
Yes. Thank you for giving all of us nerds that stuff, because we find
Davey loves the ley line,
and it just
a good ley line can lead to many things. Your heart's desire.
We love it. We watch it for that kind of stuff. You give it to us. This was just one of my favorite episodes. Love the A stories, the B stories, the mix up of all the action and adventure. This was fantastic. I wanted more. I felt like giving us 2-parter. I wouldn't have minded a cliffhanger, actually. That's how good it was. Usually I hate cliffhangers because I want to know what's going to happen. But you did fantastic. Thank you so much for giving us this episode, guys.
Wow, thank you.
We're really glad you liked it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I'd like to second that. It was a fantastic episode. It was beautiful, both visually and emotionally. It gave us a lot of moments that we wanted, a lot of moments we didn't know we wanted. And, like that 10-minute flash forward kind of gift moment it was amazing, because you would think that it would only be a minute or two, but it was a whole section, and I didn't need it to end. It was great. Obviously we knew at some point we're going to go back to what we need to go back to, But really, this is an A+ episode. It was so good. I enjoyed every minute of it. And even though you guys kind of had to chop it down to us, you chopped it down beautifully because we got everything we wanted. Also, before we go, Davey, you have kind of a good news, bad news about what's going to happen to you after this season. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I guess, the episode was my swan song, and so it was my last sort of Strange New Worlds, what would you call that? I'm
blanking. Your last Strange New Worlds episode.
Adventure.
My last Strange New Worlds.
Or Adventure, yes, that's much better. That's much more poetic.
But you went out on a high note, though. That's how you go out. You leave them wanting more. You go out, leave them wanting more.
I'm the cliffhanger, essentially, of season 3. But, I'm developing my own things, which is very awesome.
Wow.
I wish I could talk more in specifics of what they are, but they're moving along, and they're happening. And as with anything, they may never get to be seen. They might get to be seen, but it's just exciting to be at a phase where I'm writing and creating a show from the ground up with some amazing partners. One of which may be on this, stream with us right now.
I bet I can guess.
Hey, don't say anything, Dave.
I won't say anything. So it's good. It's great for my career and my creative output that I'm getting these opportunities and doing these things. And it's bittersweet, much like the episode. It's I think this came up recently too, that like there was this tone of finality to it, or this sort of vibe that it had that I didn't realize.
It was heavy.
Maybe I was putting myself into it. Maybe I was saying goodbye. You know what I mean?
Endings and goodbyes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's that's.
You couldn't go out on a higher note than that. I mean, that's a beautiful episode. And Dana, we've never had you on before, but I want to ask you: were you a Star Trek fan coming into your tenure with this franchise?
Yes. No. I mean, of course, I was a Star Trek fan. I think there are people who work on the show who may be more. I would be a poser and a liar to call myself a super diehard fan.
Me too.
That said, my parents were diehard Star Trek fans, so it was constantly on in my house, and so it just sort of seeped into my idea. And when I came onto the show, they were over the moon, and we just talked about Star Trek for months straight. It was great. It was great.
I'll fill you in. Don't worry, Danny.
No, they were like, "Ooh, let's talk about this. We're gonna make a list of our favorite episodes." I'm like, "I've seen these all." They're like, "Yes, so we're gonna rewatch them right now." They were at my house because I had just had a baby, so they were here for a while, and they're like, "We're just gonna rewatch all of our favorite episodes." It was great. It was great. It was
perfect.
Super fun.
Well, you've put up a nice high score with this episode and the other ones you've done before. So we're just a fan of the show. We're a fan of you guys and your writing. And just as for everybody listening, just know that, our favorite writers go on and do Battlestar Galactica and, all kinds of stuff. They go on and do great things. Highlander. And I mean, we've seen so many of our great writers move on and create other great franchises, and it's important that as fans we not only support the work they do on Star Trek, but the other work they do going forward, because we need to continue to support great writers so we can see quality movies and television out there. It's really an important thing.
Thank you. That's very very touching for you to say, Sirach. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll be looking forward to all of it. And we'll also be looking forward, of course, to season 4 of Strange New Worlds. Dana and Davey, this was the best. We really appreciate you guys, and we hope to see you again real soon. You're the best. Everybody at home, stick around. We will be right back with way more coverage of this radical episode on the 7th Rule. Hey everybody, welcome back to the 7th Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello.
Boy, oh boy, what an episode. But first, we have to talk, of course, about the Trivioids. The Trivioids of the week go as follows. Captain Patel is cleared for active duty as the new director of the Starfleet Judge Advocate General's Office. I'm never going to say that again.
Yeah, that was good.
Roger Corby is on an expedition in the Baudates system. Sky Gowan is not a warp-capable society, but they do engage in interstellar trade with the Orions, or Orions if you're blue. Dr. Mbenga reads a poem about himself. Captain Batel is the beholder statue on Vadia 9. Vulcans can feel the coming of an earthquake. I think that's a first we've heard of that. James T. Kirk tells Spock to call him Jim. There could be 2 Captain Pikes or 2 Captain Batels, and Juliet calls Spock Uncle Sock. What was... Yeah, the Roger Corby thing was cool.
Isn't that your porn name? Uncle Sock?
Sock. I am not touching that one, although my mind thought of things. But yeah, I did that very first one. Captain Batel is cleared for active duty as the new director of the Starfleet Judge Advocate General's office. When she said that, or when Pike said that, I had to rewind it. I was like, how did he say that naturally?
So easily.
That is a line you have to practice over and over and over and over again. And then you say, okay, now I've got the line down perfectly. Now I can act it out. Because I was like, that's a mouthful, man.
Yeah, there's nothing, Geordi couldn't handle, but it is a mouthful.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
So,
but,
when we're talking about earlier about the crew and the music, obviously there's way too many people to compliment individually. I mean, the cast and crew, we go over and over and over and over and over again about how incredible they are. One thing I did want to highlight when composition and scoring was mentioned was the music was just incredible. In one particular scene that just jumped out at me, it was when they're facing Gamble before the flash forward, and Gamble calls Pike a fly. And then suddenly there's just like this swell of music. And it wasn't, sometimes it's like reminiscent of something from the original series, or they pull something like that to emote or to bring out some emotion that we remember. But this was an original score, and it was fantastic. So shout out to our good friend Nami Melamad, because that was intense.
Yeah, throughout the whole thing, the scoring accentuated the vibe and the mood pretty much throughout the thing. When Pike was sitting alone and with Luna kind of there, there was a score there. During the flashback scenes, that was the score there. When they were flying, doing aerial shots of the planet Sky Gowan, there was a nice score there. So, I mean, just in general, I enjoyed the music. I thought it was fantastic. And some of the shots, like when Scotty mind melded with Kurt and they were both talking in, synchronicity, and they did some exterior shots of the ship, like kind of one upside down from the other, flying. That was like some good ship porn for the people of those exterior shots, right?
Yes. Well, Strange New Worlds is a great ship show. Everybody knows. So this episode in particular, we did talk about this quite a bit in the first segment, but they covered a lot of ground. And they covered a lot of ground almost in a series finale kind of way. I
felt like a series finale type of way.
There was a lot
they wrote
of that.
This like this was going to be the last episode. It felt so many strings getting tied up and loose ends being
and in a sad way. In a sad way, in a somber way, in a beautiful way. Even the moments that were good and uplifting were weighted with the heaviness of the episode. So even Kirk and Spock, having their chess moment, and James Kirk and Sam Kirk sitting down and toasting, and all these moments, there was just this over, there was the music, there was the tone. It was still like, it was more like a silver lining in a dark moment than a bright moment. You know what I mean? But I thought that works, because that's heavy. And then at the end, they just give you the, hey, let's go seek out more new life and new civilizations. And so it kind of brings you back up a little bit. It's a great end to a season. It's a great end.
It's a great season ender. One of the good best season enders that I can remember. Like, it's a great way to end the season on a show. Tied up all the characters were in this feature. You know, they had every single character have a significant role. There were moments there, for example, when Kirk is sitting down with Spock at the end, and they're both talking about La'an. And she comes walking up and she's like, "What are you guys talking about?" And they're both like, "Nothing." It was like that moment where
I watched that like 3 times. That was good.
It was a great moment because La'an has her history with Kirk in that one alternate world episode that we saw, right? So
yep.
And then she's building, you know, that chemistry with Spock over the course of this whole season, basically. And so there was that awkwardness that exists when, you know, she walks up and she's like, "What are you guys talking about?" And they're both like, no, because they've had the mind meld, so they both kind of must know about that, right?
Oh, they do. Yeah. That's good stuff. There was so much subtext there that's all.
And is that what Kirk was talking about when he says, "Don't judge me for what happened on Orion" or something? Was that what he, or was that a whole nother thing that he's worried about?
You know what's funny is I didn't even realize that probably was that. I just thought he was just being Kirk, be like, "Hey, don't judge me about that, Orion. Just keep that between you and me, you know."
But I think he's specifically mentioning the La'an situation. I don't know if that has been erased from his memory or not, or what. Who remembers what? But from my perspective, since he knows Spock works with La'an, and he knows her as a crew member, like he can't be just mentioning all the times he's done something. It can't be just one time in Orion. I'm sure the guy, Kirk must have had a bunch of escapades. I know he was at Risa a few times. I know he did that one episode with the Greek goddess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So what else we got? In the end, there. I mean, there were moments of just like seeing Uhura and Ortegas and Una laughing. No sound, just the music.
Yeah,
beautiful. Seeing Scotty and Pelia working together. Beautiful. Seeing Chapel and Corby saying their goodbyes, seeing Chapel and
Scotty has been really growing on me too. Scotty is he's grown on me a lot for a guy they just recently, because he's really good too.
Martin Quinn can act, man. He's great.
He's really good as Scotty. And he came in wearing the kilt and everything. And
oh, right, the hazing, like we saw. Yes, they did it to Uhura initially, if I remember correctly. And now they did the hazing to Scotty, which was adorable, and he shows up in his kilt. Well, although when I saw the kilt in a preview image a couple days ago, I was afraid that might mean that he was going to pull out the bagpipes and do like an Amazing Grace at like a memorial somebody's death. Turns out we didn't get that, but we did get a death. So there was definitely that there. So this is the final episode of the season. Theoretically, we'll get season 4 next summer-ish, right? Spring or summer. And it's closed out. I didn't get what I kind of made the joke earlier on that, I was expecting somebody new to get introduced, and they said, no, not this time. But that's what makes Strange New Worlds so great, is that they don't follow the pattern. Remember, I'm always trying to like predict. I'm like, like in the previous episode, I was like, it's just like Enemy Mine. She's going to sacrifice herself, the Gorn lady, to save her, something like that. Nope. Completely different thing, So I'm really happy that they didn't follow that pattern, like that they're just like, nope, you get 2 and we'll keep you guessing for the rest. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I think so too. Dr. Corby ending his relationship, that was a nice kind of scene between him and Chapel. I thought Jess Bush and him were really great in that scene. showed a lot of kind of, you actually felt like they were saying goodbye to each other. It felt authentic to me.
Yeah.
Which means I'm sold on their relationship, right? So if I believe the goodbye, so that's kudos to them and their performance. Also, I think Pike called himself the best chef in Starfleet. I think that was true up until Cisco came around. So yes, up until the just to clarify.
I can picture you. You're like, whoa, no. And then you're like, oh, wait, actually, this is before. Okay, yeah. I'm going to allow it. I'm going to allow this one time.
Exactly. But I am clarifying the timeline.
Yes.
That's all I'm doing.
As long as we're clear on the situation.
In this star date, he is the best chef at this moment.
Yes.
But yes. So I thought I just had to clarify that. But no, this episode had a lot of good elements. The whole Stargate thing, even like when they had to both have their the streams of their phasers had to cross,
like Ghostbusters.
Like Ghostbusters. It was so like Ghostbusters. I was like, that's the Ghostbusters.
When you and then when you pointed out the diamond shaped things, I kind of wanted to like touch on that a bit more, because those were this is so creative. These are the kinds of things we've never seen in Star Trek before. And I love that they're trying to create things, you can bring back themes and characters, but these aliens look like no other aliens we've ever seen. The buildings look like no other buildings we've ever seen. Yes. The Vesda look like nothing we've ever seen before. Like, there's so many things that were new. They kind of remind you or make you think of like you mentioned, ancient Egypt. There's certain things in there, but this is very new. And even just the idea of almost like of a chosen one, that's also very new. The only thing it reminded me of a little bit was the Pa Wraiths versus the Bajoran. What were they? The wormhole
prophets. The wormhole
prophets. Thank you. The Pa Wraiths versus the
aliens?
prophets. Like when you and Kira were battling it out, things like that. I mean,
yeah, I felt that.
That was the only other time I've seen that in Star Trek, and it was really cool to see it again, because this is not a theme that's used very often.
I did feel that with Gamble kind of playing the evil character that I was playing when I was possessed. I felt that a little bit of that as well. I have to agree with you on that. Yeah, man, this episode had a little bit of everything. It had the adventure, it had the new places, it had the relationships coming to an end, essentially. They closed out a lot of storylines that they've been teasing us with. They've teased us with Patel's condition the whole season. They've teased us with Corby and Chapel. They've been teasing us here and there, and they finally kind of ended a lot of storylines and put to bed, I think, the Gorn and a lot of other things that were going on.
The Gorn are going to be back.
I'm sure they'll be back. I mean, at least for this season, they kind of.
We do only have 16 episodes left in the entire series, so
that's crazy.
Maybe not. How much can they squeeze into? That's half a season. What we're used to, like, that's a tall order for them to say. Basically, there have been so many things I want to do with this show, and I have 16 episodes to do it left. Like that's tight. That is a tight fit. But speaking of a tight fit, we do want to point out some people that are, do you remember in the 90s, people would say, that's tight? These people are tight. Their names are Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackman, Tom, TJ Jackson Bay out in Missouri, Titus Muller, Dr. Mohammed Noor, Anil, who I saw in the credits, by the way, Anil Opalat, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, the Matt Boardman, Chris McGee, Jake Barrett, Henry Unger, Allison Leach Hyde, Julie Manosfi, Jed Thompson, Dr. Susan V. Gruner, Glenn Iverson, Dave Gregory, Chris Sternett, Greg K. Wickstrom out in Hawaii, Cassandra G., Chuck A., Chris Garris, and of course, Jason M. Oken. Everybody also, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications. If you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate that. And we've got a free-for-all coming up next, so stick around. We will be right back with the free-for-all on the 7th rule. Wait, home run of the episode. That was a close one. I almost forgot the home run of the episode.
Oh,
I was
right,
like, what am I forgetting? This is important. Who gets the home run of the episode?
Well, I would give it to Scotty because he killed it. But I'm going to give it to the director. I thought Maya Vervillo killed it. I loved the directing. I thought it was excellent. I enjoyed it a lot. So that's who gets the home run.
Great. For me, I'm going to... Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Yeah, I was going to say our two guests, Dana and Davey, because they wrote an incredible episode. I'm going to stick with them. That's a very good point about the director. This was a gorgeous episode to watch, and she really got the tone right. But since she got one from you, I'm going to go in the other direction and go with the two writers. Home run of the episode. All right, everybody, stick around. We will be right back on the Seventh Rule. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton. This is the Free for All with Melissa Longo.
Hi there.
TJ Jackson Bay was practicing his jokes right before we recorded. Carrie Schwent, aka Crafty Bear. And of course, Chuck A, who is the TNG fanatic, but he also loves Strange New Worlds. All right. Yes. I don't know. Can we guess a IMDb score? I mean, I guess there's one already out. Maybe we can.
Yeah, there is. I checked.
All right.
Oh, really?
Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score already, like half a day in.
Well, it's an early score, so I think it's going to lean more positive. I'm going to say around probably like an 8.2.
I don't know it, so I'm going to guess.
That's what I was going to guess.
I'm going to guess 8.4.
So I'm going to go 8.3.
Ooh, sandwich.
I'll say 7.9.
7
TJ, $1?
No, 8.2.
Okay.
But really, I was going to say 15, which is amazing because it only goes up to 10. It's amazing that it's already got a 15.
Turn it up to 11. What's the answer, Carrie?
276 votes. It comes in at 7.5.
Oh, boo. Do better. Do better, internet. Do better.
Man.
All right.
Wow.
Well, you know, mostly the haters go there to vote.
Right.
We need
before
the
it even
winners
comes
to go
out.
there to vote. Yeah.
Before it even comes out.
We also had some non-appearance mentions. We had Admiral April. That's Robert April. We had the Farragut captain. I can't remember her name. The Vulcan.
Yeah.
And I feel like we had one more. Who was the other one? Okay, maybe not. I thought we had maybe another one. All right. Well, let's just jump into this. Melissa Longo, will you please get us started off on the right track by telling us what you thought of the season 3 finale?
Well, I think it was a lot better than the rating on IMDb. IMDb. There were several moments in this that caught my attention. First, Pelia is hilarious. when Una says, "Steady, Pelia," she goes, "I'm steady, I'm steady." That made me laugh out loud. I had to watch it several times, and every time I watched it, I still got a good chuckle. That was hilarious. And when she called Spock Spocko, that was hilarious too. I also really like how this show plays around with relationship and is starting to establish relationship, particularly in this moment when we first see Spock and Kirk really having a conversation and really start to collaborate with each other. This moment when Kirk says, "Call me Jim," and Spock goes, "Jim," it's like, oh my gosh, this is where this friendship starts. This is where it all begins. And it got me, a skeptic, excited about the possibility of Star Trek Year One, like seeing what they could do in the first year that Spock and Kirk come together and start working together. So that got me really excited. I also really liked the end where Pike is talking about people that we've lost and how the people we love are never truly gone. And I like the montage that goes with it, particularly when Nurse Chapel hugs Mbenga when he comes back into sickbay, and the look on her face and the warmth of that hug was really, really beautiful. I also liked the moment where La'an and Spock are together and they're meditating together, and La'an gives him a little peek, and there's this little smile on her face. It's so cute. And then Spock peeks too, and he gives her a little smile. I love that too. So there was a lot of lovely moments in this, and I do think it deserved more than a 7.4, was it?
5. But it's going up. It's on its way up, I'm sure.
It definitely deserves more than a 7.5. Good episode.
Totally. Thank you very much, Melissa F. Longo. All right, TJ Jackson Bay out in Missouri. What did you think of this episode?
Oh, man. I think Melissa Francesca took all of the good stuff. No, I'm kidding. There's so much good in this episode. And if you're watching this, go to IMDb and give it your rating, whatever that is, whether it's higher or lower. Just go and give it your voice and support. There was so much, as Melissa said, relationship beautifululness in this episode. One of my favorite moments is when Captain Battelle or Admiral Battelle, is she Admiral already? I don't know, but when she comes back on board and she and Pike are leaving the transporter room and going down the corridor, and they're just kind of, laughing and happy to see each other. And we see their backs. They're walking away, but there are other officers in the corridor. And we know that every other captain we've seen has always been kind of uptight about their relationships. And theirs is open, to the crew, and they're not afraid to be themselves and to laugh and to be in love. And that made me happy and gave me hope. So I was grateful for that scene. There's so much metaphysics in this episode as well. There was talk of ley lines. There's the battle between good and evil, or positive and negative, however you want to term that. They mentioned epigenetics, which is amazing, that the environment and conditions that we experience affect us to our DNA. That's what epigenetics is. It changes our DNA. And, so, there's, the thought of a kind of genetic memory that gets passed, from generation to generation, and that gets molded, by what we do. So, it's important. What we pass on isn't just, what we teach the next generation. And it isn't just about whether or not we ourselves have kids, but it's about the entire environment that we create as a society and as a world. I think that's especially poignant now. I also thought it was interesting that, that the idea that they put all of these kind of evil spirits, if you will, or evil entities or beings into this kind of prison in one place and seal them away, made me think about the Skin of Evil episode from TNG.
Wow.
Because that's what that was it said it was a collection of like all the evil and all of the negative that whatever society it came from, like put it all in one place and stranded it on this planet forever. And And I think that's very much connected to what this episode is about. Because in order to defeat that, there were more elements than good and evil needed. Battelle needed Captain Pike, and there were multiple, instances where two things were needed to come together in order for it to work. Kirk and Spock had to be able to link, to connect and work together in order for their plan to work as well. Gamble, the taken over Gamble, needed Mbenga in order to make the gateway work also. And so, also, sealing up the container, it needed the good and the evil to be present in order for it to stay there. If one's not there, then the other one doesn't work. So I thought, that was interesting as well. I also found it very fascinating that Battelle had to find strength from within in order to be able to do what she did. And she did that, by exploring her connection with Captain Pike to the point of living out a life. So it's kind of like an inner light episode as well, which is interesting.
Right.
So much in this episode. And I thought the kind of signal that kept kind of bringing Pike back, the knock on the door, was neat. It was a neat, just kind of thing. I can't wait to watch this again. I really also enjoyed Captain Pike's voiceover at the end. It brought a lot of feelings up, a lot of, maybe even a tear too, because it's such a deep reflection for what he's just been through. I think that's something we didn't get in the Inner Light. We did get a scene of reflection and holding the flute, but this voiceover and the montage, I think, really, highlighted how connected Captain Pike is to his crew, and it gave us a reflection on the journey that he went through. And so in a way, we were able to go on it with him. I got a lot to say about this, but I'll stop there.
There's a lot in this episode and a lot in this season. Thank you very much, TJ Jackson Bay out in Missouri. All right, Carrie Schwent is the Crafty Bear. What'd you think of this one?
Loved it. It is definitely a 10, which I added on IMDb right before I hopped on.
Nice.
So much enjoyed it. And like Melissa, I love the hell out of Pelia. She is just joy. Just seeing her makes me smile. Hearing her voice makes me smile. And I spent the entire day trying to figure out which doctor she knew, because there was that total line about her meeting a time-traveling doctor. And if you look really carefully in the episode that on the scavenger ship, in the background is a TARDIS. I had to check, watch it, look it up again to spot it again, because I missed it the first time. Shame on me. But yeah, I want to know how long she hung out with the doctor. I want to know which version of the doctor she hung out with. Later on, when when her hands and that started glowing, at first I was thinking Captain Marvel, but then I remembered the Doctor Who line and thought, oh no, it looks kind of like she's regenerating, which in a weird way she sort of did when she became the statue, and that statue is just absolutely gorgeous. I loved how everybody looked when they did like the undercover thing on the planet when they're walking around. I thought everybody looked fantastic. I love La'an when she's got her hair just all full out and not back in her ponytail. And the brief little conversation between La'an and Chapel about her badass Vulcan nerve pinch. Chapel's like, I never figured it out. It's the thumb the trick? What was it? Just that cute little fun snippet between the two of them.
Where do you place your thumbs? Yeah.
Just adorable. So fun. And yeah, I definitely caught the inner light of it all with the the dream sequence, and they got to have this whole life together. And I listened to some other stuff at work, and one quote from somebody that stuck out to me that I really think is kind of beautiful is that they both got to have what they otherwise wouldn't have, because Patel becomes a statue. Pike knows he's going to end up in the chair at some point, but with this sort of inner light style life that they got to have like the full marriage and the dog and the kid getting married and the growing old together. So he's going to have the memories of that, even when he's in the chair and eventually goes off to where he does with Vina. So maybe he somehow, with however, like the visions and that work with Vina, maybe he introduces Patel to Vina somehow, and who knows, maybe they become friends, and that weird sort of fantasy thing he'll get to have later on. But I kind of want it, but I'm also glad that when he sees his apron at the end, that it wasn't wrapped like the gift that she gave him with the Captain Pike sort of monogram on his apron. I was already crying a little bit at that scene. If it had said Captain Pike on it, probably would have been worse. But and then the shooting star too, definitely another tear prick moment, because shooting stars are beautiful, and she points it out at the end of their little vision, and it's just great. I love it. On a slightly more positive note, I also enjoyed the whole Kirk and Spock thing, and Kirk talking about Spock bringing him there on a date. I had to cover my mouth. I was laughing so hard I didn't want to wake up the hubby, because like the premiere, I was watching this at 4:00 this morning. But I did actually manage to knock out a quick haiku. Didn't quite have enough time to knock out a limerick, but given the whole inner lighty vision thing, that just sort of called to me, and it kind of felt like more of a haiku situation. So I'll finish with that, and then we'll hand it to Chuck here. That's it. There it is. A short but full life. It was and wasn't enough. She has work to do. Being a work is not easy.
Thank you very much, Carrie Schwent, aka Crafty Bear. All right, Chuck A, aka TNG Fanatic. What's up with you? What'd you think of this one?
Well, I watched it early this morning. I wanted to watch it a second time, didn't get a chance to do it. But what I loved in the episode was the setting up as been mentioned, the Kirk and Spock relationship that will be going forward. I did like the I guess you call it a dream sequence with Pike and Patel. I think that was really well done, addressing the Pike, accident in the chair, and his expanded relationship with Patel and having a daughter. I love the scene with when Scotty came into the dinner party in his dress uniform with the kilt. That was really funny, and I believe it was kind of in season 1 when Uhura came into the party in a uniform. I think it made homage to that. I like the short chess game with Kirk and Spock, and him asking Spock to call him Jim, and the mind meld, I think, which will give them some information on each other when the relationship, in the original series, expand on that. And I did also like the last scene of the episode where they were trying to get Pike to say his "hit it" line, and he would seem to be very reluctant to do that, but I thought that was well done too. I really loved the episode. Like I said, I wish I had a chance to see it a second time. Maybe tonight I can watch it again. But I enjoyed it. It was really good.
All right. You know what that means? It is time for Jake's final take. Sirach, any final thoughts on this episode after Chuck A's incredible thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, I like the makeup of the that were on the planet. I thought the makeup was really good in this episode. Also, like the costumes. Uhura dressed up at the dance party. She looked really beautiful in her outfit. I also liked Una's outfit when they were on the planet surface. She had a nice little green and bluish green type of thing on. It looked great on her. Also, Dana and Davy Perez wrote it, and Dana Horgan. And, you know, I mispronounced Dana Horgan's last name to Dana Horgan.
Right.
Because I always thought
it's happened to all of us, and it's a perfect.
Yeah. I mean, you know, because she has a statue named after her, right? But she's got the Horgan statue.
Batel's not the only one.
Yeah, ironically, Batel is the statue too. So there goes a little irony there. Definitely got Stargate vibes. So Stargate was one of my favorite movies growing up. I loved the Stargate movie franchise. So it was good to see something that reminded me of that. And then I'm going to say something a little bit controversial on my way out here. And here it goes. I'm not really a big fan of the chemistry that Batel had with Pike. I never
so you're
was.
Like, good.
I was never sold on it. I never thought they just didn't really click to me. I didn't feel them as a loving couple. I just felt it was forced the whole time. And then once she got gorned, I was like, that's got to be the final straw. Because you could see it on Pike's face when he was like, yeah, what the hell's going on here? So to me, this relationship after the Gorn incident was pretty much a dead end anyways. The fix that they had with this genetic fix and all this other stuff, that seemed like a temporary fix because she was clearly affected by this and was becoming a different person and wasn't even able to control her instincts sometimes. And so I was like, I just never was the huge fan of Batel and Pike. So honestly, I'm not that sad.
Honestly,
what a way to close out the season. Mic drop. All right. Well, thank you to everybody that joined. Sirach just hates love. They had a beautiful relation. No. Thank you very much to Chuck A., Carrie Schwent, TJ Jackson, Beata Masura, Melissa Longo, for myself, Sirach, Melissa, and Mr. Aaron Eisenberg. Thank you all very much for joining us. Don't forget to give your opinion on IMDb and also to rewatch the episodes. Let, keep it going on Paramount Plus. Let them know how much we love the show. And that's it for us. We will see you next season. And until then, always remember the 7th rule.